Welcome to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined. It's a space dedicated to supporting parents and navigating the intricate journey of raising teenagers. And today we have the privilege of hosting a renowned expert in parenting, Kylie Madigan. As a parent coach, Kylie specializes in empowering parents and teenagers to create harmonious and supportive family dynamics. Kylie is a mother of three. She has two young adults and one teenager, a veterinary nurse, permaculture gardening. I don't even know what that is, so we'll get back to that. Trained in mental health and trauma, master practitioner in NLP, hypnosis, and timeline therapy. And I'm going to let her talk about how she loves working with teenagers, because I think this is where we jam together. So welcome, Kylie. I'm so happy to have you here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think I'm a big teenager. I feel like I've done my parenting journey, and I did it really intensely when the kids were young. Mm-hmm. They were my world, and I always stepped outside the boxes to bring fun and crazy and adventure. I was that parent that had the backyard full of kids and the house full of kids all the time. Very thrifty in my ways, always found a way to succeed in what their needs were. And now they're at the age where they're very independent, and I was a little bit lost. And now I'm starting to step into what I feel like being a teenager again, embracing it and allowing teenagers to be teenagers again and have the fun and adventure and all that I find really lacking in the world at the moment. And I really feel for teenagers because they've got a stigma on them straight away, as soon as you see I've got teenagers, everyone's like, oh, and I'm like, no, they're beautiful people and there's so much potential in them nowadays.
Yes.
So yeah, that's sort of me. And then from there, I've gone on and worked a lot with them. I worked in a school with all the disengaged teenagers. So I had the hardest of the hard, which were the most beautiful of the beautiful, because every one of them had something that people weren't tapping into, or the education system didn't have time for it. So usually I was an aide in a classroom, so they were sent to me to hang out, and I'll just bring my crazy ways with me. We do some of the stuff I enjoy is circus time with the kids. When I'm on one-on-one with kids, I enjoy a little bit of sword fighting to get anger and fun out and just craziness. And I'm a little bit naughty in myself. Like, I like to just bend the rules a bit and have some fun with kids and that. And I had a big moment a couple of years ago when I was working with a lot of kids one-on-one, and we were in parks and things like that, and I was talking about walking around in bare feet. And so many children I work with now are not allowed to walk in bare feet, or they feel that mum always tells me I have to put my shoes on to go outside. So that really hit home with me. Yeah.
That's interesting. It's funny, when I worked with teenagers for 28 years, and I relate with them way more than I relate with most big people.
Yeah.
And it's funny when somebody says, oh, you're a teacher, and I say high school, they just go, oh, and I'm like, no, I love these relationships. I love the honesty, but I love the raw conversations. And I love when they feel like you're actually hearing them, where those conversations go, and when they start to really trust you. I think it's just so incredible to see. And you said the right thing, like potential. And I get so frustrated when I hear people say, oh, this generation. And I think, no. Every generation has a goofball in it, but it's got nothing to do with this generation. So I totally, I think that's why we really connected right from the start. I thought, oh yeah, she's my jam.
Yeah, well, there's just so much potential. I mean, they've got us to guide them when they meet up with the right people, but they've also got that whole internet world and all that. So if we can mix it all together, they've just got so much to be offered in that. And
Yes.
I feel now more than ever after COVID and that, which the kids want to be reined in a bit more and brought back to nature.
Mhm.
And I'm finding even the parents and that, like where I was going with the bare feet, like I have it in my backyard now where I'll have teenagers come over and they'll just wander around the garden with me in bare feet. And, that's huge to them. To me, it's just a natural way to ground yourself and use it for healing and things like that. Yeah, I think I'm trying to bring them all back to nature through gardening and the animals, but also knowing that we've got the internet available to get all our information and network everything together. So just to try and show them there's a balance and to put your device aside for a couple of hours and then come outside and garden, play outside. I've got some young kids at the moment, like 12 to 14-year-olds, and they're making cubby houses. Like they're in my backyard just building cubby houses, and it's so sweet to see, and like the learning that goes on with that, which people don't see and understand, because I'm a homeschooler, so I've done a couple of my homeschooling with some of my kids. So I'm really big on organic learning and supporting our teenagers to take their own path and empower them when they do find simple little things and, things that do float their boat. I call it their superpower all the time. It's like, what's your superpower? And then we'll work back from that and find out how to make that happen. And I sort of find over here in Australia, the education system doesn't offer a lot. Yeah, and so many fun, quirky careers out there that just don't get talked about and all that. So
absolutely. So talk to me. I want to go back because I want to get into the career path, but talk to me about working in a school where the kids are not engaged. How did you engage them? Like what strategies were you using?
Yeah, the school was set up for student-led learning, so that was a really beautiful thing. So we would sit down and do every 6 months a learning plan on what they actually wanted. So once I knew where their dreams were, I could then learn to look outside the box and try and find different ways. Like, I introduced animals into the classroom, which were a game changer for mental health. As weird as it is, I had therapy rats. So I used to arrive with 2 rats on my shoulder into the classroom, and the conversations, like we'd have to do the work as to how we manage the rats, look after them, but also the energy and how you approach an animal, and if you want to hold the rat. So, if you're angry, you're going to have to go away, regulate yourself and come back. So we had that, and it was a lot of life skills like, building cages, building things, gardening, realizing the power in gardening, like putting your hands back in the soil and the relaxing, and even the regulation of digging a hole and chopping firewood and things like that. So we had a lot of access to stuff like that. One of my main things that I love doing with the kids is I've got deals with a lot of our, you would call them thrifty shops. We call them op shops over here. I get all the broken jewelry, and they have big conversations around it. So that would draw all the art kids in. And then that would also draw in, just conversation, because it's all blingy and glittery. And, the kids would sit there for a couple of hours just talking and untangling jewelry. Then you get all your tactile skills and things like that. And, with the plants, I used to grow a lot of herbal medicine. So along with growing the plants, we could also talk about the medicine that comes from the plants and how to make the medicine and things like that. So it was all just a lot of natural skills that I've learnt over the years through elders and stuff over here. And my veterinary nursing skills, because, animals are powerful. So I put out, I have incubators, so I'll take chickens and ducks into school and have the rats and the dogs and there are other quirky animals I can get my hands on. So, it was a lot of just following what the students wanted and finding ways around it. And the whole school was set up like that. So it was very big on getting them out into the community and doing a lot of volunteer work and community work.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that, and it's such a coincidence. I just did a podcast episode with a homeschooler.
Yeah,
and we did a whole thing on it, and I really had zero knowledge. I worked 25 years in a big, huge public school system and 3 years in a private school system.
Wow.
But I really had zero idea of what was happening. And it was very similar conversation. I just love that. And this is something I'm even trying to promote with parents on the podcast. I know it leans a little more majority of traditional, is getting away from that and figuring out, like, let's find out what they love and go with that. Like, why do you think they're not engaged? Well, because they're not you. They're not doing things that they want to do. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and here, fit into this little box here, and supposed to do. And I find that, like, it's time for us to start allowing the teenagers to empower themselves, to be themselves, their own unique selves, and that we're behind them, just kind of helping them along the way. And I've got your back. Don't worry, I've got your back. But if you kind of fall over there, that's okay. Pick yourself up. I got your back, is where I'm kind of going with this. And I love that, that you're thinking very non-traditional. So if you were to advise parents, so you, in the school, you are doing non-traditional education. How does that transfer over if you're coaching a parent?
I tend to work with the parent to not be so stuck in the traditional world and our conditioning and everything, like the generational, I wouldn't say, well, it could be trauma, but just that generational setup that we've all been told they've got to do it like this. This is how it is. You go to school and you go to uni and you do all this. So I sort of get them to step back and look at, actually listen to the child and just feel its energy, see what they need, and work with compromising with them if you can, negotiating with them and that. And my youngest one at the moment wants to drop out of school. He's only 15, but I'm fully supportive of that because he's not getting his needs met at the school. So it's more about listening. He knows he needs an education. How is he going to get it? So he's working his way through it at the moment on how he wants to get his education in the future. So he's making his own choices. And I also find that's empowering him, and I'm listening to him. So, with the parents, it's more or less like, can you step back and can you look at it in a different way and come in from a different angle? Because we're so locked in to it has to be done this way. And times are changing. Like, the kids are learning a lot quicker. They know their options. We've had I was on the news this morning about school refusal. I don't even like all that. It's just like, you're not listening to your kids. It's not school refusal. They know what's going on. At 12 and 13, they know they can say no to school, and they know that this isn't working for them and all that. They're so much smarter than probably we were at the same age, and we need to change our way with them. And which, I mean, it's really hard. When you're homeschooling, you also need to de-school as a parent. And it's taken me years to realize that we didn't have to do maths and English every single day, or the system that they have to get up at 9 o'clock. My kids sleep until 11 and 12 o'clock every day, but they'll go and learn till midnight, 1 o'clock. That's what their body needs. That's how their rhythm is. I'm fine with that. And I'm big on the community, working within the community. So I sort of, definitely with teenagers, I feel that the parents in a real way aren't listened to anymore, no matter sort of what we do. So I do a lot of outsourcing, even with my own kids, where I've got a support crew around them of older age groups, right up to my parents will take the kids for a day or so and just have grandparent time. And then we've got other mentors around them, family, friends and all that. So I'm really big on outsourcing the care and help as a parent, because teenaging's huge. So I love asking for help, and I love networking with my community, getting my kids, like even my kids I work with, we've got them into the thrifty shops, working with older people and get, just natural respect. I think you can't teach a lot of this stuff. It's got to be lived. So I like to drop them all into these lived experiences. I work in wildlife shelters, so we've got to go there and they whinge that they've got to clean up this and that, but then once they get into it, they realize this is part of it, and the joy they get out of helping the animals and things like that. So a lot of learning to look outside the box and judging the kids, listening to them a lot more, negotiating with them, and a lot of community work to take the pressure off the parents and the families. Like, the kids tend to open up to other people a lot more.
Yeah.
Which I'm really happy with, which I find a lot of parents aren't. It's like your kids are meant to talk to you, and they're not going to, and they're not going to they're not going to tell you everything. I wouldn't
and
want
as long as they're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as long as you have a trusted adult somewhere, that's better than the parent ego. Oh, I'm the best. They need to, that I find that really a struggle to deal with. So walk me through a traditional parent sitting down to ask you for coaching and then saying to you, getting up at 11 o'clock, you're not preparing them for the real world. Their job starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. La, 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 la. So talk to me about that. How do you deal with that resistance?
The resistance, just mainly through the conversations with them and looking at how the world is changing. And how we can set our own rules now. Like, there is no rule book to life. We've got our own rules. And yes, you have to work within some parameters, all that, but learning to see and feel the different ways. Like, when you're in your superpower, it feels so good. So you spread that amongst people and all that. So getting the parents to stop fighting that resistance and feeling what it's, slowly letting the guard down and changing your ways, and teaching them or just talking with them about not always fighting. We're not always right. We don't know everything. And oh my God, like, the kids in the classroom would say to me, why even finish your question? I found the answer on Google before you've got the answer. We're right. Like, they're sort of like, why are you even teaching us? And I mean, in the big picture, why are they going to school in a lot of ways? Like, I get it in that way, but saying that, the kids sleep in and all that, I work with what my kids' needs are. They know they've got to have a job. They know they're going to have to work themselves out in life. So they are doing it in their way instead of being conditioned into how it should be done. I'm a nighttime person. I always have been. And, everyone's always, you can't do this, you can't. And it's like, why can't I? And why can't I sit up till 2 o'clock in the morning and do my work? What's the problem? It's not, and and like working with teenagers, it's like they get up at 12 o'clock. So that's when my work starts. So, I sleep in.
It only makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I love working with the kids, because we do all this nighttime, late afternoon stuff. And most of the teenagers are like that. And I think if you go back and look at the studies, the hormonal changes that these kids are going through, they need that sleep. And yes, their rhythm is different. And that, like, even before technology, my middle son, he was still sleeping till 11 and 12, and he wasn't up all night, but he needed a good hunk of sleep to grow and to, just rest on everything and that. And so, it's just getting them to learn to breathe and step back and realize that there is no rule book.
I love that.
And just work, like, listen to your kids and that, and like, support them. They're smart little people nowadays. I mean, they've got so much more knowledge than we had access to. So it's a lot, of getting out of the conditioning that we've all had all these years, which I totally feel, because, homeschooling was huge. Like, it was, my first time when I first homeschooled them, to thinking we had to do what they did at school, to now where it's like, do whatever you feel you need to do, and just sort of check in. I've got one, he does music, he's writing a book, he's a poet, and, he's now talking about starting a small business. So now he's going to have to go into financial literacy, but this is all him. He wanted to do it. So, by taking the pressure off them, they're amazing. I'd love to see a world where, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of these kids that are empowered to follow their dreams. It'll just be, it's amazing. But,
I know, I love talking about not taking that linear path. And I used to, when I was in the high school system, so many times a day, I think I would hear somebody say, oh, well, they're in grade 9. You need to prepare them for university. They need to have more homework. They need to study. They need to. And I used to say, I just need to prepare them for tomorrow. They just need to make it to tomorrow. Because if I'm 30 years old, I'm not preparing for my retirement in my head. I'm preparing for getting to work on Monday and doing my job and preparing for dinner. That's what I'm preparing for. So the pressure that the parents put on themselves to follow that linear path that is so, especially I think since COVID, I think it has really opened up, they don't have to go to college. They don't have to go to university. Look at all these people who are self-employed. They find that one superpower and they go with it. Why do they have to do this? Why do they have to spend $100,000 to figure out they don't really want that?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to spend the next 20 years paying it off. That's not what I wanted. So I totally agree with you. I love that, just finding their superpower and letting them go that route. And I feel like we spend, as adults, how many of us at 40, 45, 50 are now taking all these courses and self-improvement and motivational because we want to follow our light.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that at 16 and 14 and 17?
Yeah. That's what I'm doing, with the NLP and all that. And there's a lot of teenage other life coaches that I've got my other kids in with, and they're learning it themselves. Like my kids are learning NLP and all that empowerment skills and all that. And it's just magical to watch them and to transfer it on, because all my kids work with kids too. So, yeah, just watching that whole group and the empowerment and watching, them slowly finding their jobs and finding their way and realizing that they don't have to be conditioned to the system as much as that, and that they have options.
Can you, for listeners who don't know what NLP is, can you explain?
Oh, neuro-linguistic programming. So it's learning to listen to the words we use, our narrative, to ourselves. So it's got a lot to do with self-talk and just pulling yourself up on your self-talk and empowering yourself with, I suppose, more, now I've lost it, more more empowering words and that, like, I can't, I don't know, I try, all this to actually step in to your power. And it also looks at using your narrative to the conditioning that you've had, so your patterns and things like that you've done over you sit in life every day, your strategies that you use to get to places and all that, and the rules and the conditioning that you've had set up over life. So it's also about learning how to change that, learning how to slow down and watch your strategy that may not be working for you and finding a different way to do it. So with the kids, it's like, again, being a teenager, that whole standing up for yourself and learning how to, empower yourself and talk and work back with the people that are conditioning you and all that, and saying, look, there is a lot more to me, and, I like this and I don't want to do it like that, and this is how I'm going to do it, and things like that. So, that's an NLP in a nutshell, really. But something I've only just started learning. Like, I've sort of been doing it for about 2 years now. But, just loving it. Like, it's just, and loving that my kids are taking it on board too. And all the kids
that's amazing. I love that. So talk to me about, how do you do your coaching? Do you do group coaching? Do you do one-on-one coaching? Are you online? Like, what is your presence with coaching?
I'm currently about to move online, but what I'm doing mainly is I do one-on-one, and I also do group coaching. Both the coaching is usually done through walking and talking and animals and working within nature. So the group programs, I'm running a gardening animal care crafting program in my backyard with the parents. So I work with the kids, and then I'm building community with the parents. So I get the parents crafting and talking, and they work through all their stuff and all that. And then we have food and that. So we have like a communal meal and that around it. And in the meantime, I've got the kids. As I said, they've been making cubby houses. We've been doing worm farms, so we've slowed down to actually look at what goes on in the worm farms. Big on journaling, so we do a lot of nature journaling, so the kids actually make their journals and then add to them as we go along and what we learn. And just a lot of talk and peer support. Like I've got sort of all the different age groups, as I said, from 30 down, and they'll pop into my workshops when I'm doing the group ones. So I've got people that are storytellers, we have drummers, we have different types of crafters, different type of gardening. So they'll drop in and have a chat and all that. And I just find sitting there in nature is my coaching. And I can get a kid that's escalated in, and then once we've sat down and patted a baby chicken and held the rats, and the dogs have come in and worked with us, and that they're just changed. Like it's interesting because it's just a lifestyle for me, and it's what's always happened around my house. But then I tapped into my own superpower and went, hey, this is making some changes here and that. And realizing, like I said, back to the bare feet, like that the kids don't do it. And it was like, wow, there's a whole world out there of young kids that don't walk around in bare feet. So, I've got them making a mud bath at the moment so they can play and stand in the mud. And, if they have a mud fight, so be it. Who cares? We'll knock it off.
Yeah.
This weekend we set up a little water slide for them and that. So I just find a lot of it's back to the joy again too. A lot of the young kids are like, mum and dad are too busy. They're always on their phones and we never have any fun. And then I'm just like, oh my God.
Say that again.
Mum and dad are always on their phones. Mum and dad are working too much. And again, that I'm rushing around doing all this after school stuff and we never have fun anymore. And I hear that from a lot of kids that they just want to slow down and have fun. They actually want to be parented. They want to connect with family, but in a fun way. And it's just really stopped. And it's not around fun anymore at that age. It's so hectic for them. And it's a simple things with teenagers, a good water fight, a good food fight, whatever. Yeah. Who cares? We'll survive it. So just have some good fun with them.
Yes. Oh, man, I just love that.
Yeah, that's sort of how
slow down, put your phone down and have some fun.
Yeah, just slow down and fun. And it's so simple. And I just want to spread that. Like I'd love to get that just out. I struggle to actually want to have it as a program. I just want everyone to go out and have some fun, quirky stuff, bring some joy back into your life. And just slow down.
So then what is your online going to look like?
It'll probably just be, obviously the conversation and all that, and I'll probably have animals present with me. They stick their heads in the screen and all that. And then I might do I do tasking with them. So I'll ask the kids to go out and do something. Like it may be, can you walk around for 10, 15 minutes every day in bare feet for me? And as I tap into their superpowers, it'll be like, for instance, one of the kids I'm working with at the moment wants to be a motor mechanic. So it's like, can you just go to the wrecking yard and get one piece of a car and go home and pull that apart for me and tell me what you've learned from it. And other kids are wanting to learn German, so they're doing a history thing on me for German. So it's just getting to know them, tapping into their power, and then I'll task them, which will then empower them. And then depending on the age group, I really like to get them into work so they can set up their own businesses and things like that.
Yeah.
And, so doing social enterprises with them and stuff like that would be the end game through the online coaching and all that. And, again, the parents are available too that I can chat with. I'd love to do that.
So would you do that separately or would you do the
probably separately to start with and then, see how the child feels. I'm hoping that, I don't have to work a lot with the parent. I like the teenager to work with them more, but I'm hoping to empower the parent to be able to see what we are achieving and where that's going. And joy, again, back to joy, just happiness is contagious and it's just a good feeling. So to bring that in and to see the joy in their child's life, even if it isn't how they expected it, for them to understand that your child's happy, look at that and see where that's all coming from and support that. And education's for life, so your kids can go back and do whatever they want to do at any time. And
100%. I went back to university when I was 30 to be a teacher.
Yeah, well, that's
what I went through 4 different careers before I thought, let's try this now. So you're right. Yeah. It's always open. You can always apply.
Yeah, and mental health is so much more important because you can't learn if you're not mentally stuck in a good space. Yeah. You can push yourself, but you're not actually really retaining or learning anything. So
Yeah.
Let's get the mental health. I mean, I don't even think even teenaging, their mental health is so everywhere that schooling's the last thing they should really be doing. It should be structured some other way. Like we do a lot of farm schooling over here, and I find that works really well.
That is very cool. And I feel like I worked in special education for 25 years, and I feel like your way of teaching eliminates any kids that have a disability.
Yeah.
It's like universal design.
Yeah.
And that's very cool. I love that. It's almost, I've used this term once or twice before. It's almost like reverse inclusion. We're not, we're inviting even the completely neurotypical kids in, because we all, we all have a superpower. Doesn't matter if we have a diagnosis. We can use that as our superpower.
Yeah, because I work a lot with autistic kids too. So yeah, they're amazing. Like they've definitely got some amazing superpowers. It's just teaching everyone how to work together and be all inclusive with it. And I love working with the kids on the spectrum and that. Like they're amazing because once they focus, there's no stopping them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about the small talk with most of them.
No. And they're off, and it's great like that.
Yeah.
I'm just big on fun.
Yeah. I was just going to say, give us a couple like takeaways that parents can think about right now. I'd love for everyone to get engaged in your online coaching because I'm in Ontario, Canada, so I can't send somebody to your front door. But when the online coaching starts, we can certainly talk about that. But if somebody is just sitting here listening to this saying, okay, just give me 2 things I can do right now, what would that be?
Go outside and just sit and look and slow down and just immerse yourself back in nature, ground yourself, like get back into that earth energy that we all need and we've detached from through our devices for sure. Like the healing's coming from earth and we need to embrace that. It's there and it's as simple as that. Go out and look at the moon, look at the bugs, listen to the birds. Just immerse yourself back into it.
Put your phone down. I love that. And I love that that's advice could be for them to do together. Your parents and teenagers get out together and do that. Leave the phone at home for a little bit. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. It took us forever to get together because we are in completely different worlds and time zones, but I really felt gravitated to your messages. And when I see your post and I thought, oh, this is going to be really interesting. And it has been very informative and a lot of fun. So tell everybody where we can find you.
Just find me on Facebook under Kylie Madigan. And in the next day or 2, I'll have the website up and I'll be able to be contacted online. But basically, I just use Facebook. I like to keep it all simple too. Like, as simple as I can for the kids and the adults. So, just Kylie Madigan on Facebook. The business name is Magic Minds. So, creating magic into our life, which I also do magic classes. I love magic as a empowerment for the kids too.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm going to put all of this in our show notes for listeners so they don't have to try and memorize it. And send me a link to the course. Like whatever, the coaching, the online, send me all those links because I have a feeling I'm going to get some questions about this for sure.
Oh, great. I'm excited. Yes. Like, I love this. This is my superpower.
Yeah, that's going to stick to my head like superpower suit. That's what I'm taking from this. And I know you found yours, and that's the energy you have right now.
Oh, I love it. And I'm loving life, and I'm loving working in this career. Like, it's not even a career. It's just great fun every day.
Right?
Working with the teenagers, and it's so simple and so beautiful to watch them shine. So, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we will check. I'm sure we're going to do this again.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined, where we have had this beautiful guest, Kylie Madigan, who has shed some light on allowing our teenagers to find their superpower and live in it like we should be doing. Thank you again. Please share, please rate, please review. It means so much to me, and it will just be words to people's ears that need to hear it. Thank you again.